Okay, let's get right into it. If you're prepping for an AP history exam, you know the document-based question. The DBQ is a whole different kind of challenge. But today, we're going to crack the code. We're going to give you the system to analyze any historical document they can possibly throw at you. Just think about it for a second. You're in the exam room, the clock is ticking away, your heart's pounding, and you've got this stack of 7 primary sources. Could be letters, political cartoons, laws, and you have to somehow untangle all of them, find the connections, and weave it all into a killer essay. And you've got minutes to do it.
Look, if that sounds stressful, that's because it is. But it's also totally manageable. This isn't about being the fastest reader in the room. It's about having a system, a reliable method that turns that feeling of panic into actual points on the board every single time. And that's what we're going to build right now.
So where do we start? Your gut reaction is probably to flip open the packet and start reading document 1. I get it, but don't do it. The single most important first move, and the one most people skip, is to go straight for the prompt. This right here, this is the entire mindset you need to have. You're not just reading to see what's there, you're a detective. The prompt is your assignment. It tells you what you're looking for. Without it, you're just looking at a pile of random clues. With it, every document suddenly has a purpose. So, practically speaking, what do? You read that prompt and you mark it up. Seriously, get your pen out. Underline the main verb. Are you supposed to evaluate, compare and contrast? Then circle the key terms, the dates, the places. You're building a filter, a lens that you're going to look at every single document through. Okay, so you've got the prompt basically burned into your brain. Now we can finally turn to the documents themselves. But you guessed it, we're not just going to dive in headfirst. There's a system for this too. It's a 2-step process, and the order is absolutely critical. Step 1, you analyze the attribution. That's that little bit of text right before the document. Then, and only then, do you actually read the document itself. And when you do, you have one job: find the main idea. This is why we read the attribution first. It's basically a cheat sheet. Before you've read a single word of the source, you can already know who wrote it, when they wrote it, what kind of document it is. I mean, if it tells you right there that it's from a satirical magazine, boom, you already know it's probably going to be critical or exaggerated. That's a huge analytical head start. Now you're ready to read the actual document. But listen up, this is important. Your goal is not to become the world's leading expert on this one letter. Your goal is to figure out its main point as it relates to the prompt. That's it. Then, in your own words, and that's the key, you boil it all down to a single sentence. You get 0 points for just quoting the document. You get points for showing you understand it. All right, so just understanding what the document says, that's half the battle. But the other half, the part that really separates a good score from a great one, is actually using that document to build your argument. This is where the really complex and often missed points are found. So, the official term for this skill is sourcing. And it sounds complicated, but it's not. It just means that it isn't enough to report what a document says. You have to explain why it says what it says by digging into one of these 4 key areas. And here's your sourcing toolkit. You can talk about the historical context surrounding the document, who the intended audience was, what the author's purpose was, or the author's point of view. Now here's a little pro tip. When you're feeling the pressure of the clock, historical context is often your best bet. It's usually the easiest way to connect what's in the document to the bigger story that you already know. Now this slide is maybe the most important one yet, because it points out the #1 mistake students make on the DBQ. They do the first part. They'll say something like, the author was a factory owner. But they totally forget the second, crucial step. They don't explain why that matters to the argument they're trying to make. And this comparison just makes it crystal clear. See the weak analysis? It's just a fact. The author was a factory owner. A grader reads that and thinks, okay, and so what? The strong analysis answers the so what. It explains how being a factory owner shaped his perspective, which in turn explains why the document portrays labor conditions in such a positive light. That connection, that's everything. Okay, so let's talk about the nightmare scenario. What happens when your whole system breaks down because you're staring at a document that is just weird and confusing? First thing, don't panic. Second thing, remember that secret weapon we talked about? Let's use a real example from a past AP World exam that left thousands of students scratching their heads. They were shown a picture of a 17th century Portuguese box. That's it, a box. So what in the world are you supposed to do when the document itself makes no sense at all? You ignore the confusing picture. You go straight for the gold mine, your secret weapon, the attribution. Just look at the info here. Forget the box for a second. It was made in India, and it was made specifically to be exported to Portugal. That's all the information you need. And that is a complete game changer, without even needing to understand the art on the box. The attribution alone lets you make a powerful argument. You can conclude that Portuguese trade had so transformed the Indian Ocean that artisans in India were now making goods just for the European market. That is a sophisticated, high-level, point-scoring argument pulled directly from that little block of text. So how do you make all of this feel like second nature? Simple. You practice. But you have to practice smart. Go to the College Board's website and find their old free response questions. For each one, just practice the system. Read the prompt, read the attributions, and write a one-sentence summary for each document. Then, and this is the most important part, compare your summaries to what's in the official scoring guidelines. See how close you are. Do that again, and you'll build both the skill and the speed you need. Because, when you really get down to it, that's what this is all about. Every one of these documents is a voice from the past, a little piece of a much bigger story. And once you have the system to decode them, you're not just a test taker anymore. You're an investigator, a historian. You're the one uncovering the stories that built the world we live in. So the only question left is, what stories will you uncover?